Hello, beloveds. I'm Kiki Lovelace. I am a leadership and success mentor for 6, 7, and 8-figure CEOs, conscious CEOs who are doing their best work in the world and are ready to do their best work in their lives and in their teams as well, to have the inside match the outside. And today I want to share with you some insights I've had in through my own life in the last several months about how to steady your energy when you are making some baller moves, because making baller moves is often terrifying and can be like a big emotional roller coaster. And yes, I have insights into this. And I will tell you that like a lot of my insights came to me when this year, for the first time in 10 years of entrepreneurship, I had a $0 sales month. And I've actually had, I'm having a really great sales year overall. I'm going to definitely have my best year yet in my coaching business. But I've actually had a lot of ups and downs in my sales. I've had like really big sales months and cash in months, and then really small ones, including my $0 sales month. So and I will tell you that like after I had this $0 sales month, it was actually very pivotal for me because I realized that I could keep my energy steady no matter what the outside results appeared. And so this is actually what I'm going to tell you about today. But before I tell you about these 4 things, these 4 practices that I've been doing ever since my $0 sales month, I want to tell you about some of the baller moves I've been making, because I've been making some crazy baller moves in both my businesses. So, and in my personal life too. So in my personal life, my husband and I have been looking for our dream house here in the Bay Area. I live in Oakland, California, for the last year in this freaking crazy real estate market, in the craziest real estate market on the planet. And, you know what's happened is like the more we've looked, the more committed and resolved we've gotten to like, it's the dream house or bust. Like there is no other option. So in some ways, like our process has, it seems like slowed down a little bit. Like we don't look at that many houses anymore because we know what we want. But in other ways, I'm realizing that that's going to get us there faster, right? Is because we know what we want. So that, and Facebook user, I don't know who it is, but is asking me, is your new place going to have a pool? You better fucking believe it's going to have a pool. It's going to have a pool, or at least space for a pool. This is what it says on our manifestation list on our fridge, is that it will have space for a pool if it doesn't already have a pool. So again, it has many other things, which I'll tell you about once I get the house, because y'all are going to hear about the house when I get the house. Okay, so that's like one of the baller moves that we've been making, which is requiring my super radical faith. Like I just want you all to know that like for the first 10 years of my career as an adult was a Pilates and yoga teacher. I was making like my very best years, like $65,000 a year. And I was fucking proud of that. You know, that was like a big deal. That was like 10 years ago. And so to be thinking about buying a $1.5 or $2 million house and like actually trusting myself to come up with the money every single month as the sole provider and breadwinner in our family, baller moves. Okay, so that's one example. I'm going to tell you the other example. So in my studio business, in this last month, have been investing a large amount of money in my studio business. And my studio business, like, we don't have a ton of cash flow right now. Like actually just this past month, I just got my books back for the month before. And like, we finally now are generating enough cash in my studio business to actually cover our expenses, no PPP money, none of my reserves, that I was using during the pandemic. Like we're actually generating enough money to cover our basic costs, which is a miracle, by the way, I just want to say. But I have been really feeling called to make some strategic investments in my studio business. And relative to how much money I've put into my studio business, I've probably invested $300,000 into my studio business plus in the last 10 years. And so, I'm talking about 15 or 20 grand, which is not that much money, but it is a big deal. It feels like a big deal because in the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't needed to, I've been cash flow positive for any investment that I wanted to make for the studio. So for me to be using a line of credit feels like a really big deal. I'm like back in my old self version. Yeah, baller moves, total baller moves. And just trusting that we're going to make these investments in some payroll positions, in some equipment. I'm doing some updates in the space to make it even more COVID friendly and safe for my employees and my students, like just trusting that these investments I will be able to pay for them plus times 10, like they'll come back to me tenfold. Which is always how I like to bless up my investments. May this come back to me tenfold. Okay, the other baller move that I've been making, which is requiring the most radical faith ever, like literally ever. And I've done a lot of things in my life that require like extreme radical faith in myself, in life, in the universe. And this is that, as some of you may have noticed, I have been in this huge brand shift in my coaching brand in the last year. And, I call this a spirit mandated brand shift. It's like I felt this call about a year ago, a little year and change. It was like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be doing this other thing or this like deeper thing. And I've since realized that I really enjoy working with 6, 7, 8 figure, like people who are making real moves in their business and want to create a team and a life. And when I say team, I'm not just talking about like your employees, I'm talking about like your family, the people that help you with your life, like your housekeeper, like all those other people, like your babysitter, like all the people that you need in your life, the system of support that makes it all work. And so I've been really called to teach these business owners and CEOs about leadership and about calling in more support and about creating a collaborative company culture and really community culture where everyone wins, where everybody has their role, their medicine, their contributions, and everybody wins. So that is the brand shift I've been in this last year. And this has required so much faith. Like I said, I had a 0 sales month this year, which was insane to me. And I have really had to learn through this past year how to steady my energy, even though I have zero evidence that what I'm doing is actually going to work. And so here I'm going to tell you about the 4 things that I've been doing, the 4 practices. Leslie says, I really, really relate to the idea of an expansive team. Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you about that. Hi, Linnea. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so here are the 4 things. So first of all, I've been making a practice of looking for evidence. So even though my brain tells me you have 0 evidence, this is all going to work, I have been consciously like essentially looking for the evidence and saying, well, it's true that like I've never taught exactly this thing about leadership and about teams and about sustainability and about thinking about creating alignment, not just in your offers and how you serve your people, but also in your team, in your family, in your life, in your relationship really with spirit. So yeah, I don't have like experience teaching that necessarily, although some of my clients will tell you that I've been teaching that for years. But I look back at like, okay, well, I have all this other evidence that I can make things successful as a business owner. I have years of experience in both of my businesses with creating offers and marketing them and selling them and delivering amazing results, and helping my clients change their lives. So I'm looking for evidence, same thing with my studio business. Like, yeah, I'm investing in, new equipment, new teams, and I've done that a million times before. I can look in the past for evidence that like, even though I don't know that this thing is going to work, I know that I've made it work in the past. So that is the first practice that I want to share with you today is like, even though your brain might be telling you, oh my God, there's no way this is going to work, and you just start freaking out about how like, there's no evidence, look for evidence in your past self. Even if you've never run a business before, you probably have evidence of your persistence, of your tenacity, of your creativity, of your sort of nimbleness that you can think of in the past. And that will help give you strength even when you have a 0 sales month like I've had. Okay, so that's the first thing. Oh, and then I want to say about evidence is like when you find those little pieces of evidence, sometimes I even see it in my sales reports for the studios, like, it's working. Our sales have increased, more than 100% in the last 6 months. So even though we're not exactly where I want us to be, we're getting there, and that's evidence that it's working, right? So celebrating that, celebrating these little bits of evidence, whether it's just with yourself or with your loved ones or with your community of colleagues or whoever it is, with your employees. I actually celebrate these things with my employees all the time. Okay, number 2 is to do your practices each day to regulate your presence system. I'm in a course right now, which is so beautiful, called Waking the Heart of the Human Family. And we keep talking about the nervous system as the presence system, which I just love. The facilitator, Zahava, talks about it like that. And so the invitation is to do your practices each day to regulate your presence system if you are able. Now, I just want to say that, like, not all of us are able. You know, there's certain times in your life where, like, you just can't. You can't take the time to exercise. You can't take the time to meditate. It's just, you know, whatever health challenges you may be having, or, you know, maybe you're working like 3 jobs. Like, I just want to acknowledge that we're not all having the same experience on earth at this moment. And so if you are able, I invite you to do your practices that help regulate your nervous system. And if you're not able, don't give yourself a hard time about it. It's just a moment in time. And hopefully you can make some space, you know, in your life for it in the future. But, you know, some of the practices that have been helping me steady my energy during all these baller moves I've been making, I have been meditating like this whole year, really, like just 10 minutes a day, short, but like very meaningful 10 minutes a day. I mean, I'm spacing out for like half of it, but I'm really trying. I've been doing, from this Waking the Heart course I've been taking, which is, by the way, amazing. I've been doing this like face and jaw massage, about 5 minutes of face, head, neck, jaw massage each day if I can. Been doing this other practice called receiving, where it's like I just open up to like the wind or my kid or, you know, the warm bed sheets, and like just receive that energy. What other practice? Of course, I walk. I've been walking a lot this year. I've been taking longer walks to clear my head at the end of my work day before I go home. And of course, fitting in like whenever I can, my personal training, or maybe this morning I did a little Pilates practice or yoga practice. I don't do that every day, but I do it as much as I can make space for it. So that's another thing that's been steadying my energy during this time of up level, and what I like to call the in-between, when you've like set your sights on a goal, but you haven't yet reached it. You're in the in-between, and it's kind of intense sometimes in the in-between. Okay, number 3 is visualize what you want and feel what it will be like to get it. Okay, I've been doing this a lot actually on my walks in the last week. Is like I have like some very specific like financial goals and a couple of other things that I'm working on in my life. I can't even tell you about all the things I'm working on in my life, but I've been on my walks. I've been taking the time to visualize each one and to feel into the moment when I have it. Or like, you know, with my dream house, I'm like sitting on the porch, I'm drinking my coffee, I'm just listening to the sounds, you know, on this new porch, this new deck of like the birds, you know, in the morning, or I'm watching the sunset in the evening, and I'm putting myself just in my imagination in that house. What is it going to feel like to be having my coffee on that porch? And the feelings that I often get when I think about my dreams and when I'm trying to call forth in my life, I feel like elated. Like I feel so excited, and I kind of like can't believe that I've created this thing out of freaking thin air. So I've been trying to pull that feeling of like awe and gratitude through my body at least once a day. So that's been another practice that has been, yes, Jay, I'm making the baller moves. I know, so are you. I see you, my sister. Okay, 4th thing, big thing that a lot of people, entrepreneurs and not entrepreneurs, miss is I have been for a freaking year. I mean, honestly, for a lot more than a year, but like, especially this past year, while I've been in this brand shift, this is the 4th thing. I have kept taking action, even if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing and where the fuck I'm going. So I realized I had this like spirit mandated brand shift, right? Like about last summer, I was like, shit, something else wants to come forward. What is it? I don't know what it is. It's not that. It's not this. It's not this whole thing that I built my coaching business on. It's not that. I got to retire that. So like I got some signals that it wasn't what I was doing, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And so I started making moves. I started retiring my old programs, even though that was terrifying. I started playing around with like new offers. I started playing around with like different different front door offers, different ways to create value for my audience and connect with people. I started playing around with like messaging some of my old clients that I love working with, and that's not a sales strategy I've ever worked with, but just like being relational with them and then seeing if they want to do this new thing with me. Those are just like literally 3 examples. I do new things. I take new action every fucking day, even though I don't know what I'm doing. I don't exactly know what the end result is going to be. I'm still figuring out. I feel like I'm coming to the end of the cycle, but I'm still like in the cycle. And I hope this is helpful for you to understand that, for a lot of us, our manifestation process is not about sitting there thinking about the whole thing and then creating it in a day. It's like you have to take action while you don't exactly know. And the action will help you create clarity and clarify the knowing inside. And that's for me what my manifestation process is about. It's about taking action, even though I don't know exactly, but I just take the next action and I wait for the signal inside of like, ooh, that feels right. Okay, that feels exciting. Let me do that. And then I just take that action. I follow that through and I wait for the next instruction. Sometimes it comes really fast. My intuition will show something really quickly. Other times I kind of have to like just be in that place of, I don't know yet. I'm not really sure yet. So taking new action is required to get new results. That is like huge, and I think it's something a lot of us don't exactly understand, that is the key to creating this baller life that so many of us are out here to create for ourselves and to experience for ourselves. Okay, what do you think? What are your takeaways? And also, do you have any practices that have been helping you through the in-between time where you don't exactly know what you're doing, but you're supposed to be doing this thing and you're making these moves, even though, you don't exactly know what the outcome is going to be? I'd love to hear that in the comments. Thank you, everybody. I love you so much. Talk to you soon.